Olá, muito boa tarde. Estamos aqui a dar início ao nosso webinário. Eu vou pedir para aguardares aqui um bocadinho para esperar que todas as pessoas que se registaram neste evento comecem a entrar. Portanto, aguardamos só cerca de 2 ou 3 minutos para termos aqui mais participantes. Entretanto, se calhar vou-me apresentando. O meu nome é Carolina Patrício, eu sou consultora do Departamento de Comércio Internacional da Câmara de Comércio e vou ser a anfitriã deste webinar sobre o mercado dos Emirados Árabes Unidos. Temos aqui connosco hoje o José Diego, consultor da Câmara de Comércio para o Médio Oriente, bem como o João Guia Costa, que é gestor de operações da empresa Guia Costa e Rangel, que vai também partilhar connosco o testemunho de uma empresa que trabalha atualmente com os Emirados Árabes Unidos. Se calhar vamos começando. Eu quero dar as boas-vindas a todos que temos aqui hoje, aos nossos participantes e aos nossos oradores, que irão partilhar aqui algumas informações importantes sobre este mercado. Os Emirados Árabes Unidos são uma federação de 7 Emirados situados no sudoeste da Península Arábica. É uma economia aberta, a mais competitiva de todo o mundo árabe, com o segundo maior rendimento per capita da região, depois do Qatar, e é um dos mais elevados em todo o mundo. O governo dos Emirados Árabes Unidos, as autoridades nesta altura da pandemia conseguiram agir muito rapidamente e implementar estratégias de contenção relativamente ao Covid-19 e, portanto, o Dubai foi uma das primeiras regiões do mundo a abrir as suas fronteiras para o exterior, o que demonstrou uma grande disciplina e competência deste mercado. Hoje temos aqui para esclarecer a todos os nossos participantes o que diz respeito a este mercado. Convidámos os dois oradores que estarão aqui a partilhar os seus conhecimentos e testemunhos sobre este importante mercado. Quero também agradecer à Caixa Geral de Depósitos por continuar a apoiar todas as ações internacionais da Câmara de Comércio e antes de começar recordo só algumas regras básicas de funcionamento. A sessão está a ser gravada e o vídeo e os microfones dos participantes estão todos desligados. Todas as questões ou comentários que tenham poderão colocar na rubrica Q&A, que está na barra inferior do Zoom, para que depois eu possa colocar aos nossos convidados. And now I would like to give the floor to José Diego, who is going to give us a presentation on this market. Later we have the intervention by João and a space for debate with questions from your side, so please participate. Thank you, and José Diego, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Carolina, for your kind introduction. Thank you to CCIP for trusting in our company. My name is José Diego Manzanera. I'm the CEO and founder of the company Golf Business Consulting, operating in the Middle East for more than 15 years. And I would like to share with you a presentation that we prepare about the United Arab Emirates. You should look now to my screen. I share the screen. Carolina, please, can you confirm that?
I confirm. Everything is okay.
Everything is okay. So we will go through several topics today. A quick introduction about the country, the COVID-19 impact and measures, Expo Dubai, that's going to happen this year. It was postponed due to the pandemic. The UAE Vision 2021 by the government of the United Arab Emirates, sectors and opportunities for the Portuguese companies, some recommendations and good practices. So let's start with where we are. We are in United Arab Emirates. It's a country where the capital is Abu Dhabi with almost 10 million people of population. It's a federation of 7 emirates. On the map, you can see the 7 emirates or cities, Al Quwaim, Ajman, Dubai, which is the most known city, Abu Dhabi, the capital, Sharjah, Fujairah, and Ras Al Khaimah in the north of the country. The religion is Islam. The language is Arabic, but the English is widely spoken and belongs to the Gulf region, or the GCC. They call the GCCs the Gulf Cooperation countries, where you have Qatar, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. The total of this block of countries, it's 58 million people, approximately. In the macroeconomic data, UAE is the major international hub for business, and it's considered the door to the regional markets, the countries around, and the Middle East in general. Let me say that the Middle East, it's more than 448 million people of populations. So it's a massive market. And the UAE is considered the door to access to all those countries. The forecast of the GDP for next year is going to increase in 2.2%. The country is ranked in 16th on doing business, according to the World Bank. The per capita in 2020 was at the level of 31,000, almost 32,000 US dollars. Since 2018, the UAE imposed VAT. Before we didn't have VAT. Now we have taxes, but it's only 5% of supply of goods and services. Dubai Airport, it's probably everybody knows, which is listening to us, about Emirates Airlines or Etihad Airlines, which is a very strong airline. It's one of the top airlines in the world. And the airport ranked at the 4th position of busiest airport in the world, and contribute only the city of Dubai with 27 billion to the UAE economy, which is approximately 27% of the total GDP. Of course, the UAE is well known for the oil and gas, and it's one of the key sectors, especially in Abu Dhabi, more than in Dubai. Dubai is living more for the commerce and the trading and the tourism, more than from the oil and gas, but still, it's in the country is 393.4 billion dirhams, which is approximately 30% of the GDP. It's coming from oil and gas. The country is doing a lot of efforts to diversify the economy and not to have that massive rely on oil and gas supply. Regarding the situation of the pandemic, the COVID-19, the UAE responded to the crisis with very rapid capacity. The healthcare infrastructure, it's very solid. We didn't have any shortage of PPE or masks or any protection or equipment for the hospital since the beginning. So the country was really, really well prepared, and the response to the pandemic was very fast. So they launched several initiatives to combat the COVID-19, including the surveillance and contact tracing, the containment, the mental health support. Due to the lockdowns, a lot of people were restricted to be at home for a minimum of 3 months. So it was really affected to the mental conditions. And the UAE government, they prepare and they put at the service of the citizens a lot of programs to support mental health, mass testing and treatment, government economic support, and a national vaccination program. Right now, the UAE is the second country in the world with the population already vaccinated. Approximately 72% of the population in the UAE is already vaccinated. So after Israel, the UAE is the safest country in terms of vaccination in the world. The central bank of the country launched a packet of 100 billion dirhams as a scheme of economic support for retail and corporate customers that were affected by the pandemic. The UAE federal government and individual emirates have moved to implement a range of stimulus measures, including tax cuts, higher subsidies for water and electricity, including not only for companies, but also for citizens. and strengthening the business development programs. Still, we have some requirements when we are going to enter the country, and it's good for you to know if you are planning to visit the UAE, that all passengers traveling to Dubai from any point of origin, including GCC nationals, those neighboring countries, must hold a negative PCR test from an UAE accredited laboratory, taking no more than 72 hours before departure. The certificate of PCR test is a must. Antibody tests and home testing kits are not accepted in the UAE, and travelers must bring an official printed certificate in English or in Arabic. And just we need to keep in mind that digital certificates are not accepted. It's quite different than the green pass that we are having in Europe. And if you travel to Abu Dhabi, vaccinated travelers arriving from Portugal that not in the green list by now must take a COVID-19 PCR test on arrival and quarantine for 7 days, or take another COVID-19 PCR test on the day 6. So still there is some restriction we need to keep in mind when traveling to the UAE, either if you are going to use the Dubai airport or you are going to use Abu Dhabi. So of course the mask wearing, it's compulsory inside and outside, indoor and outdoor, and keep the social distances of 2 meters. Live entertainment and activities are permitted. Restaurants, cafes and shopping malls are open and they are operating normally, almost to 100% of the capacity, not totally, but almost 100%. So, in the beginning of the 20th of August, Abu Dhabi will ban, and this is something very important, unvaccinated people. So from public places, including school, restaurants, retail, business, hotels, resorts, among others. So if you are not vaccinated, you will not get access to some of the facilities in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is the capital, and it's they put more restriction. Now let's move to the Expo. Expo is, the UAE is going to be the first Arab country in the world to host an Expo with 192 countries participating. So it's something historical because never happened before in an Arab country. It was scheduled for 2020, but due to the pandemic was postponed, and will start the 1st of October, and it's going to be a 6-month event. So will be until 31st of March 2022. The Expo theme is based on the belief that innovation and progress are the result of people from different fields and backgrounds coming together, bringing innovation and sharing ideas to solve global challenges. They have, this is the main theme, but there is also 3 sub-themes that mark the country commitment for a modern and advanced society. It's going to be based, if you see the picture on your left, you see 3 lines. It's divided in 3 themes, which is opportunity, unlocking the potential for individuals and communities to shape the future, mobility, creating a smarter and more productive movement of people, goods, and ideas, both physically and virtually, and based on sustainability, respecting and living in balance with the world we inhabit to ensure a sustainable future for all. It's good to know that beyond the show, that of course all the families can come, it's very focused on business. The Expo Dubai is going to be a business meeting point. The government, before even the pandemic of the UAE, prepared a vision called Vision 2021. The objective is to make the UAE among the best country in the world. As you know, they are very ambitious. They want to have the tallest building in the world, the biggest aquarium in the world, the biggest city or innovation or technology, most advanced in the world. So the country per se, it's very ambitious, and it's trying to be the best in every single sector. So, which is good for ambitious people, for entrepreneurs, for companies that they have innovative and disruptive technologies and solutions or products or services, because the country is welcoming those companies that they can provide that kind of services. And it's the pillars that have been mapped into inside this UAE Vision 2021 has 6 national priorities. Create a world-class healthcare, to diversify the economy beyond the oil and gas, based on a competitive knowledge economy, safe public and fair judiciary, cohesive society and preserved identity, sustainable environment and infrastructure, and first-rate education system. All those industries and sectors represent opportunities for companies that can supply products and services for them. So the national strategy of the country will stimulate the innovations in several sectors like energy, transport, education, healthcare, water treatment, ITC, and food security. Let's start for the energy sector. They know that sooner or later, the resources that they have will disappear, will finish, will end. So the oil and gas, the fossil and the oil and gas, it's limited. So they want to diversify the energy industry. So they prepare a strategy called Uae Energy Strategy 2050. It's going to first in the country. It's focused on increasing the contribution of clean energy in the total energy mix from the 25% actual to 50% by 2050, to reduce the carbon footprint of power generation by 70%, which will result in saving 700 billion dirhams by 2050. And also to increase the consumption efficiency of individuals and corporates by 40%. The strategy targets an energy mix that combines renewable, nuclear, and clean energy. You can see on the graphic on the left, those sources to meet the UAE economic requirements and environmental goals. The strategy will be implemented with 3 main areas and themes: to implement initiatives for the quick transition of power consumption, efficiency, and diversify its sources to ensure security of supply, finding new solutions that complements power and transport systems, and R&D, research, development, and innovation to ensure energy sustainability. And this is very important, and where the country is putting massive economic resources into R&D. That's why I want to highlight that all the Portuguese companies that they can contribute to the innovative solutions in the energy sector, they will be very welcome to the UAE. They want to invest 600 billion dirhams by that year to meet the growing energy demand and source sustainable growth. And the opportunities will be in different fields like photovoltaic solutions, solar rooftop generations, energy storage, electrical vehicles, energy innovations, gas innovation solutions, green building, waste to energy, to convert the waste into energy, and energy efficiency solutions. The opportunities will be mainly in these kind of technologies. The transport sector, it's can go into the mobility that we were discussing before. It's quite important to the country's strategy. So the Emirates transportation services industry had total revenues of $16.5 billion in 2019, representing a compound annual growth of 2.2 between 2015 and 2019, in 4 years. Of course, the air segment before the pandemic was the most lucrative industry in 2019, with total revenues of 12.7, with Emirates leading the path, Emirates Airlines, which is the equivalent of 76.9% of the industry value. The performance of the transportation services industry is, of course, is correlated to fuel costs, labor, the demand of services that drop massively during the pandemic. Geopolitical events, we have in a very hot place where there is countries like Syria, Iraq, Iran. So the geopolitical events affect a lot to our country, and the government regulation. Freight and logistics sector in the UAE is expected to reach 30 billion with a 10% growth by 2030, driven by a consistent and fast growth of e-commerce across the region. E-commerce, it's booming right now. It was booming before the pandemic, before the COVID, and it was pushed and speed up totally and radically by the pandemic, by the COVID-19. So there is a lot of new platforms of e-commerce, and everything you can imagine, you can do it with your phone in the UAE. So the e-commerce industry is growing massively. To facilitate the trade and e-commerce growth, Dubai has implemented several initiatives for the development of the infrastructure and technology together with a well-integrated transport system. According to the Federal Competitiveness and Statistics Authority, the logistics sector in the country is expected to contribute 8% to the UAE economy by end of this year. What are the opportunities in this sector? Dubai, the strategic location that they have geographically between Asia and Europe, serve both the East and the West, so providing optimum trading conditions for the Emirates. So again, as we say in the beginning, Dubai and the Emirates is the hub to the entire Middle East, to some part of Africa and south of Asia. So the growing demand of producible products in the country will consequently augment the requirement for fast delivery, impacting the cold chain markets of the UAE, increasing investment in the manufacturing sector. There is a new project in Abu Dhabi that they will put 100 billion dirham to industrialize the Emirates of Abu Dhabi alone. So they are promoting the manufacturing sector and to diversify the economy and pave a path for growth for logistics and warehouses in the UAE. The government is developing right now 1,200 kilometers of rail network that is going to connect the seaports, the major transport hubs, distribution centers, free zones areas, which is in Dubai only we have more than 35 free zones, major warehousing areas and freight terminals. The Jebel Ali port, the port of Dubai, is the largest port in the entire Middle East. The transit of Jebel Ali, just for you to have an idea, is 1,333 containers per hour. So which is the trading only in the port of Jebel Ali is really impressive. There is innovative public transport modes such as self-driving functionalities. By 2030, 25% of all transportation trips in Dubai will be smart and driverless. Probably you saw in the news some fancy stuff. We have taxis, flying taxis, and with driverless taxis, which is in terms of electrical cars, for example, the Netherlands in the UAE, they are the two countries with more fleet of Tesla electrical cars in the world. Let's move to the education sector. The UAE is one of the most mature education markets in the region and remains to draw investors, providers, and students. They are building highest scientific and professional education standards to serve the UAE future generations. There is a budget, a federal budget allocated for education of 2.8 billion. for higher education and university programs. There is demand for private education that's been on the rise, leading to a strong overall growth in the education, with a 58% increase on enrollments over the next 5 years. The private education sector is expected to grow as well for about 4%, almost 4 times higher than the rate of public education in the next 4 years. So almost 300,000 higher education students, and Dubai and Abu Dhabi as the capital dominating with the highest number of students. So the UAE education innovation ecosystem grew in competitiveness prior the pandemic. So the opportunities lies in the shortage of quality schools in the medium fee range. Normally the private schools are quite expensive in the UAE, so most of the families are complaining. So there is a shortage of quality schools in a reasonable fees. Students shift away from the classroom, and this is of course accelerated by the pandemic with increased demand of technology, what they call EdTech, language application, virtual tutoring, video conference tool, or online learning software, mobile learning and e-learning, demand for international higher education, career-focused skill programs, nano degrees, digital materials, audiovisual and virtual reality software to apply to education, and management system and classroom management tools designed to keep a student on task, limit distractions, and improve concentration. The healthcare sector, one of the sector is growing all over the world. Of course, unfortunately, due to the pandemic, but it's growing massively in the UAE as well, and for several reasons. And the aging of population and increases life expectancy. Economy is expected to rebound, so the people will demand more services. Rising cost of treatments and increasing penetration of health insurance, which is mandatory now. Sedentary lifestyle leading to a high intake of sugar and calorie food. 30% of the population in the UAE are obese, and this is and diabetes is high in the country. There's a high prevalence of non-communicable diseases, 77% of mortality rate. As I said, now it's mandatory to have a medical insurance, a private medical insurance in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. The country investment to position the country as a medical tourism hub. That's why they are trying to create the best facilities in terms of healthcare and wellness as well, bringing top of the doctors around the world to practice in UAE and attract medical tourism, and a transformation at an unprecedented pace and scale due to the COVID-19, as we already said. The opportunities is in demand of biotechnology-based pharma products, medical tourism, inbound of medical tourism will provoke a demand in state-of-the-art technology. So medical disposable proposition manufacturing is an opportunity to positively contribute not only to the UAE, but the whole region. So the companies can manufacture or use the UAE as a hub to sell disposable medical products to the whole region. Medical tech, and keep in mind as well, and well noted, that the only country in the Middle East and North of Africa, MENA, it's the meaning of MENA, it's Middle East and North of Africa. UAE, it's the only country to adopt a fast-track innovation system, allowing the registration of new drugs in the UAE and giving access to the neighboring countries. So there is a lot of initiative in the healthcare industry, and of course we represent a lot of opportunities for those Portuguese companies that they are in the healthcare industry. Water sectors, the UAE is one of the highest per capita water consumption rates in the world, 477 cubic meters per day, which is, for a country who is in the desert, it's massive. The country faces several water management challenges, scarcity of groundwater reserves, high salinity levels in existing groundwater, high cost of producing drinking water, limited reuse of water, and limited collection and treatment of wastewater outside of the urban areas. So there is a national program it's called UAE Water Security Strategy, that's going to raise the efficiency in water use for agriculture that needs a lot of water because they want to be self-sufficient. So to reduce the demand for desalinated water with the following target: to increase the water productivity, to reuse the treated water to 95%, and to reduce the total demand for water resources by 20%. I'm telling you a lot of information. This presentation will be in CCIP hands, so I will go fast so you cannot get bored, and after you can go in detail because the presentation will be distributed by the chamber. The opportunity is integral management of the water cycle, advanced solution for generation water treatment, wastewater solutions, services for environmental engineering, water installation services, maintenance and distribution, water management and harvesting solutions, water desalination solutions, and green energy applied to water industry. So for these sectors, this is the main opportunities. The IT industry, we are under a radical digitization of the whole country. So there is crucial the investment into the IT industry. Already pre-COVID projection for IT spending was 7.4%, 6.8 billion dollars, sorry, in the UAE, and 2.4 until to reach the 37 billions in our neighbor Saudi Arabia, that is investing massively as well, creating even digital cities. So the UAE take the lead in e-government. So most of the documents that you want to do in the UAE, it's paperless. So you can do almost to register your company, to get your visa or to your work permit with your mobile phone. So it's the country went through a massive digitization of the whole process in the government. The country long-term economic development strategy, the Abu Dhabi Economic Vision 2030. There's a lot of programs established and implemented by the government. The UAE Smart Past, artificial intelligence and blockchain strategy have significantly expanded the e-government offering and cybersecurity initiative in recent years. The UAE was the first country in the Arab world to launch the 5G network. We have two national telecom companies, Du and Etisalat, and they launched the 5G networks in 2019 with a coverage of almost 80%. And artificial intelligence in 2030 will account 14% of the country GDP to boost productivity and performance in education, transportation, energy, and technology. And the Gulf region, the GCC public cloud market, is expected to double the value by 2024. The key growth drivers, it's the large, young, and dynamic population. 10 million of people is the population, with 32% under 25 years old. It's a very young population. High broadband penetration, especially on mobile. You have to keep in mind that if we are 10 million people population, we have 60 million users. So most of the population, they have 2 or 3 devices. Considerable online shopper rate in the region is expanded, of course, because of the pandemic and the people using online platforms and e-commerce. highest smartphone penetration in the world, 81%, low mobile shopper ratio compared to smartphone penetration, high credit card penetration across the region, almost 90%, high purchasing and income power. The opportunities we divided in two, which is the key digital themes. It's smart cities, classroom of the future, autonomous mobility, smart tourism, and smart government, and into the technology use for those industries, which is 5G, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, gaming, and cloud computing, among others. And the food industry, the last one of the sectors that we want to share. Of course, with the hot and arid climate conditions that we have, most of the food are imported. So the UAE imports about 85% of its food needs. In an effort to minimize disruptions of the local supply chains of food imports, the UAE government has implemented food national security programs, and they prepared the necessary infrastructure to ensure the country food security. The expenditure on food and beverage in the UAE is estimated to increase by almost 7% this year, reaching $38 billion US. So if you are, as a Portuguese company, into the food and beverages industry, the UAE is a country of opportunities for you. The UAE recorded a per capita food consumption of 834 kilo in 2019 per person. So the consume and something very important is that the trends right now, it's into the health, into the healthy food and health consciousness, and continue to grow in the UAE as more people are looking for healthy products. So wherever it's into the healthy category, it's a trend. It's trendy in the UAE and it's growing. In the UAE, the e-grocery market grew by 300%. So we have countless applications for food delivery. So that's why they grew by 300%. So we have a high expatriate population. So prepare meals that only require heating, meal kits, sandwiches, wraps, ready-to-eat salads, instant food. It's growing. All the added value food products like vegan, reduced allergen, organic, gluten-free, GMO-free are in demand right now. And due to the growing popularity of the modern retailer, there is a big demand for private labeling as well. So as I said before, we have high levels of obesity, diabetes, non-communicable diseases. And that is the reason behind there is a health awareness in the UAE, and they are promoting the demand for healthy, organic, and specialty food. And just some of the recommendation, if you want to do business into the UAE, it's very important for you to build solid personal relationships. So build trust with your counterpart, and build trust take time. So you need to be patient and be flexible as well, and have the capacity to adapt to the market. You are dealing with a country with different culture, different mentality, different behavior of the consumer. So it's very important for you, if you want to enter into the market, to have the capacity to adapt to the market and be flexible. Think in medium long term and develop your business strategy according to the medium long term, because some companies come with a lot of stereotypes to the market, thinking that, okay, there is a country, with a lot of money, and the people will pay a high amount for everything because they have money. Well, it's true, it's a rich country, but it's a very competitive market. And it's a price-oriented market. So you need to think in a medium and a long term. Be careful when selecting local partners. Not everybody is a super rich sheikh that will come to you and will be your partner and will open doors for you, for the royal family. No, not everybody dressing with a kandura, the traditional dress, is a super mega rich sheikh. So you have to be careful when you select. Use the service of the Chamber of Commerce that will guide you to select the right partners. Be respectful. We are dealing with different culture, as I said, religion and traditions. And the most important, follow up, and follow up continuously, because it's not a market where you will send an email and somebody will reply to you next day. It's not Europe. Sometimes you send an email, nobody replies. You call, nobody answers. So don't be desperate, just be patient and follow up until you get the deal. And you will get it if you have the right product and right price. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, José Diego. As I was listening to you, I understand that at the moment the situation is a bit contradictory. So from one hand, the country wants to receive, has a lot of opportunities, wants to receive people, doing the expo and other initiatives. But for the other side, there are still COVID restrictions that don't allow this to happen freely. So what's your opinion? So what is the country going to do related to this in this year? So the near future.
The country is moving ahead to provide even visitors. For example, there is a new initiative in Abu Dhabi that even if you are not resident in the UAE, if you travel to the city of Abu Dhabi, you can get vaccinated for free. Mm-hmm. So the country is implementing a lot of strategy and protocols to open the country to everyone as soon as possible. But there is major events that is going to happen in the country, like Expo. So they need to protect until October minimum to protect the country, because we have neighbors that they are suffering a lot with the new strains of the COVID, like India. So the Indian influence in the UAE, it's really big. And the Indian population is quite big in the country. So they are extremely cautious to not create any problem, especially before the Expo that we will start in October. But we are in the right direction. The country was open even last December in Christmas, where you cannot travel any country in the world for entertainment. The UAE and Dubai was organizing live concerts. So it's quite fast and everything will come on track with a little bit of time.
Thank you. José Diego, we have a question from Micaela Azevedo. Is telling that some local companies are asking for Portuguese companies to have local representative. Is this mandatory? Are there benefits, and why to have a representative in the middle of the business? It's a good or it's a mandatory aspect.
It's not mandatory, but it's a question of trust. The local companies, they feel more comfortable when you have a local partner. For example, if you are into offering services or technology service, if you have a local partner, they know that if they have any problem, they will have the local partner that they can call and solve the problem immediately. And sometimes that's why it takes time to build that trust, because there is a lot of international companies that they came to the UAE for opportunities. And when any of the problems happen with the product or the services they provided, they disappear. Mm-hmm. So they feel more comfortable if the international company has a local partner established in the country. It's not mandatory, but it's recommended.
Okay, thank you. Maybe now João will talk a little bit about his experience. So as a Portuguese company that works with this market, and can tell us also, can clarify some of these questions that we are receiving. João, you want?
Thank you, Carolina, and thank you also, José, for the magnificent presentation, very complete and wide and very up to date. So congratulations on the presentation and thank you once again. Well, I'm here to share my testimonial as a member of the CCIP in Portugal, and as representative from a company that made a visit to Dubai with the Chamber of Commerce. So my company, Guia Costa and Rangel, is a company working in the healthcare industry, specifically for Africa, mainly in Angola and Mozambique. And we decided to move to Dubai to make the first journeys to Dubai, searching for the commercial possibilities for ourselves to commercialize some of our products and equipments for the healthcare facilities that we run and manage. So as you know, Dubai is a hub for many of the sectors that José Diego just presented to us, and one of them is healthcare, of course. Guia Costa Rangel works with companies like Siemens or Fujifilm or GE, and these type of companies, they also work in the Middle East, and they can provide different access to different equipments. Even the range of the equipment is different from one region to another region, so it's different to buy different types of radiology equipments in the Middle East, such as in the European Union. Because of the offer, it's not the same, and the patterns of the diagnosis programs are not the same in different continents. So working in African countries like Angola and Mozambique, it has some similarities to the Middle East, because Angola and Uae share some of the same patterns in terms of the diseases and diagnosis programs. We also work a lot with a huge problem with diabetes in sub-Saharan African countries. So we share basically the same technologies. And it's very easy to work in Dubai in the trade commerce. So I think that most of the companies, not only in Portugal, but in the European Union, just like I saw when I visited Dubai in the first journeys, I understand that most of the companies, young companies, young entrepreneurs, they search for Dubai for the access of more technology and more brands like this ones, and they search for the commercial trades and the doors that can be used to not only to give access to more products and suppliers, but also to give them our own products and materials. As we know, Portuguese companies are always looking for Dubai and other countries like this to internationalize themselves. So I don't know if Carolina, if I can share just a small slide to show to the audience what we do. I don't know if this is the time. Okay, I only have one slide, and I can just to show what we are doing right now. So it's in Portuguese, but this is why we choose Dubai right now. We are working in 2 greenfield projects in Mozambique, and we were thinking about Dubai when we settle down and open a small company in a free trade zone, for thinking about the future, because it's easier to work with Mozambique through Dubai instead of working through Portugal. Let's just say, for example, an exportation. If someone in the audience works with export companies or businesses, if we do a sea transportation from Portugal to Mozambique, nowadays we will wait something around 3 months' time to expect the receive of the goods in Mozambique. But if we do that through Dubai, well, as you can see in the image, that we will have a shortcut in time and also in course for, I don't know, but maybe 15 days we can have the transportation done. So we started to look to Dubai for several reasons. The first one was to have access to our suppliers that we already have, but in general terms, to facilitate the transportation of goods. And this is the beginning of the history. Our company, EMC2, is working nowadays in Dubai in the procurement area and logistics area. And it's a key partner of our small group that we have in the African country, connected with Portugal through Via Costina Rangel. So I defend an operation through Dubai because it's very easy to work with, very clear. The economy is very robust. It's very easy to work through Dubai or with Dubai or in Dubai in a free zone or not. And this is the experience that we have, the contacts, the facilitation programs, the access to new investments, everything works in a country like this. So this is what I wanted to share. It's just one slide, just to show a big picture. And of course, I will be available to answer some of the questions that you have about the mission that we did and that the Chamber of Commerce does with Portuguese companies.
Thank you, João. Of course, geographically speaking, Dubai is in a very strategic place that allows to enter some markets in the Middle East and whatsoever. Just a question that is related to to the question that we are receiving regarding the cultural barriers. Do you feel it was difficult to do business in Dubai? Is there there are barriers regarding your products that you have to adapt and not to offend anyone or not to or do you think it was easy?
If I can, well, actually, no barriers at all. Our products are internationally known, so we are in the middle of. Sometimes we are just the middle playmakers. So we actually most of the times buy from a well-known supplier and we sell to a well-known client. So our products per se, they are well-known in the healthcare industry. So, but I guess that this question regards different products or cultural products that we may have that can cause some kind of discomfort. I don't know, maybe for cultural reasons or religion reasons. But what I can say through my experience is that many people think of Dubai as well, they have their thoughts about cultural issues or religions, but I guess this is the most liberal country that I know. Of course, they have a structure, they have a government that is very, I don't know, rigid in some things, but economically speaking, this is the most liberal country that I know.
Okay. We have here Teresa asking as a woman if it's more difficult to do negotiations or contracts. I don't know, João cannot answer this, but maybe José, you can have an insight regarding this topic.
If you are a woman, you mean, if there's any difficulty? Not at all. Dubai, it's very, very diverse, open, and so I was saying quite liberal. And we have very powerful women in business in Dubai. So when the women visit the country, they see that they have total freedom. They can negotiate, they can close agreement, contracts with men without any problem. It's quite open and very international.
Yes, I was there in the last trade mission in November, so I felt very okay with all of the meetings that I went, so I can corroborate everything you're saying. And other question, we are receiving a lot of questions. I think maybe afterwards I will also share with José Diego so we can answer all of your questions, so we can continue and don't stop just for because a lot of questions are regarding the exports and all of that. But now there's someone, David Reis, is asking about halal certification and how important is to have that.
Well, especially if you are in the food industry, it's very important. If you are into the meat industry or anything related to meat or animal origin, it's mandatory.
Mandatory.
Yeah, the halal industry, it's growing massively, and Dubai is trying to, even Dubai implemented just a couple of years ago a new halal center, so to promote more the halal certification. Halal, the word halal means permitted, so it's permitted for Muslims. It's something that the local government is trying to promote. So it's good to have it. It will help you. It will open doors for you, but it's not mandatory for all the products.
Okay, thank you. I have a lot of questions here, but as I was saying, maybe I can pass to José Diego afterwards, and he can answer you all of your questions. I just wanted to take the opportunity that we have João here that is sharing his experience. I don't know, João, if you have any advices for the companies that want to start this process of exporting or working with UAE, and if you feel there's a need of some help at the beginning, or if you feel it's easy to do this work alone, some advice that you can share.
Okay, well, first advice, call Carolina and the Chamber of Commerce. Second advice, if you well, seriously speaking, we have a small business in the free trade zone, and this works very, very well, and it's very easy. Of course, previously we were talking about having a partner there, makes things easier. We have a lawyer there that works with us, and it makes things easier, of course, to open the office, to start the commercial trade. And you must follow some rules in Dubai. You need to have, if you open a company in Dubai, you need to have an accountability and outsourced. So that outsourced, when I say outsourced, is external to you. Someone needs to audit your finances and your in regular and to have an overview about the regular system of your company. So you need to be audited every year, and you need to respond to the authorities in that way. So it's very organized. It's very simple. We just need to follow the rules. If you have a local partner there, it makes things easier. If you don't have, you have the Chamber of Commerce or other people like Diego and his company there to help you. But this is what I need. Well, this is what I did. I made a contact with the CCIP first. Then we talked with a company in Dubai that works with risk capital. Then we will talk with our lawyer. Then we follow the rules of the DMCC, the free trade zone area, and we start the company. It was very easy, very quick. Everything was very seriously taken care, and well, that was the easy part. You know, and you don't need too much to open a facilities or to have a small office. I can say to you that our office has only one table with 2 chairs. It's a small room. They have offices of 1 chair in the buildings of the free zones, and it's amazing. I never saw an office with like 1 square foot. They have offices like that, not a PO box, but an office, and you can share meeting rooms, and you can share kitchens. You can share facilities with your workers and the workers of other companies that join you in the same building. So this is actually the future. You see a hub like this with lots of companies from around the world, and you see company departments there. Like, let's imagine there's a company in France that has a department for exportation in Dubai, and they are there. They are separated, but they work from there. And you see people like this in Dubai, in free zones. You see people from all over the world, from all the departments of all companies working together and building trust together and making businesses together. So you only find this in Dubai. You can't see this anywhere else. So I don't know if I answered the question or not. I'm talking.
I think so. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, João. And we are organizing a trade mission to Dubai, hopefully in October. So we have a lot of opportunity sectors here that we've mentioned, and we would like to invite you to see the program of the trade mission and to understand if we can help you with contacts over there, as we helped Guia Costa Rangel. José Diego, just for a last note, what do you think? You've talked about a lot of opportunities. What do you think are the products and Portuguese products and businessmen are becoming much more known in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, or is the same? How is the perception of Portuguese products?
The perception in general is good, and the presence is increasing. There is more and more Portuguese companies now in Dubai, in the UAE than before, which is helping to understand more the potential of Portugal in the country. And as an European country, the perception it's good, and the people perceive Portuguese companies as quality products, as an European products or services, which is really help.
Okay, so we still have a lot of questions, but our time is up. So we will try to answer all of them by email afterwards. But as I said, we are going to share the program of our trade mission. So if you want to understand if this is a market good for your business, talk to us. We will try to help you and hopefully travel safely to Dubai. And I want to thank you, José Diego, for your presentation that we will share with the participants, and João for your presence here. And I just hope you continue to have a great business in Dubai and all over the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And have a nice afternoon.
Thank you so much. Same.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.